Hello dear friends, I'm coming to you from beautiful Slovenia. It's wonderful outside. Birds, butterflies, sun, clean air, really perfect. And if you've watched my recent videos, I focused a lot on the dark side of things. And I do think it's necessary, in any situation, denial doesn't really work. We need to be confronted with the dark truths, even though they can be very uncomfortable. But it's a necessary part of the process, I think, of the process of awakening and transition to face this darkness. However, what's also true is that if we put too much focus on the dark, on the disease, on what's wrong, then we're kind of stuck in it. So I would say most of the attention has to be on what we want rather than on what we don't want. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, and I think that's what I'm probably going to be focusing more generally in the future. Rather than thinking about the stuff that we don't want to see, really think about the stuff that we do want to see, and on the new future, on having a new vision, because we need to envision things in order to change things, right? If you can't imagine the future that you want to create, then it's very difficult to manifest it. But if you see it, if you have the right mental pictures, if you have the right emotions, if you have the right energy, if you see what you're trying to create, and if enough of us do it, then it's going to manifest eventually. That's what I definitely believe. We are creators, we're not just observers. So that's the question. What do we want? What does the new society look like? And what I believe is that it needs to be based on the principle of freedom. That should be the most basic principle of the new human society. Personal freedom, unalienable personal freedoms, like freedom of speech, like freedom of movement, like freedom of assembly, meeting whoever you want to meet, like freedom to have your business open, which is being trashed now, and just basically freedom to live your life the way that you see fit. If you're not harming other people, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, and nobody should be in a position to take those freedoms away from us like they are doing now. If you're a hairdresser or a taxi driver or a bar owner, you should be able to decide for yourself. If you think it's safe to keep your business open and have clients, and if those clients think that it's safe, how can anyone come and say, no, you have to shut it down, like they're doing now? They're ruining lives. This is not right. And I think we need to call it out. And the new society definitely has to be based on these unalienable freedoms. Nobody should be, there should be no institution that could ever take those freedoms away. Live and let live. Live and let live. If somebody is afraid of this virus, they want to stay at home, no problem. You stay at home, but don't make me stay at home. You want to wear that mask? Fine, do it. Don't make me wear it. Don't make me close my shop because you want to close your shop or whatever. You're afraid to go out. You see what I'm saying? Just personal freedom, not imposing stuff on other people. And I think we also need to embrace the principle of decentralization. Right now we're moving into extreme centralization of power. That's what this new world order is all about. Total centralization, hierarchical structure, top down, all decisions made at the top. And what we need to do is the exact opposite of that. We need to decentralize power and really bring power to the people, bring power to the individual, because the individual is the basis of sovereignty as well. We should be the basis of our power. So, decisions should be made locally. In the new society of the future, most decisions should be made locally, in the local communities. And they can be different decisions because people are different. We have different inclinations, we have different perspectives, we have just different preferences. And I know some people that are inclined to a more socialist model, sharing everything, and the extreme version of that would be not even having any kind of private property, just share everything. And then the other part, the other extreme would be have zero taxes, have no shared utilities or services, no public services. And these kinds of things could be made, these kinds of decisions could be made on a level of a community. And let's try it out, let's have an experiment. Different communities can do different things. Not just economic solutions, but social issues. You can have open borders. Maybe some communities want to have open borders, welcoming everyone. Other communities maybe want to have totally closed borders, or legalization of certain substances. All these decisions, I'm saying just as a basic principle, could be made locally within the community. And then people can choose the community they want to live in, rather than having everything centralized. And then you have to impose your solution on all the other people. And there's constant fight. This is not necessary. Let's have an experiment. And let's, this is how life really works. Life is chaotic. Life is not planned. There has to be some kind of a chaos. That's the vitality. And then you see, this works, this doesn't work. And definitely decentralization for me, is the main principle on how we should organize our society of the future. Decentralization of decision making and decentralization of power. And sure, there might still be some things that we need to decide on a higher level, like on a national level or even on a global level, like big infrastructure projects, or maybe we're going to have a space program one day, a global space program. Probably certain environmental issues, cleaning up the oceans. Okay, these things can be done on a higher level. But even in these things, we have the technology to let people decide. We can have referendums on these issues. So really apply the principle of power to the people. And I think all these big, hierarchical top-down institutions basically need to collapse. They don't belong into the future, all of them. And I think this is what's happening now, And it's kind of tricky because we all depend on these structures. So I'm talking about things like the financial markets, like the whole economic market as it's organized right now, the political system as it's organized right now. All these things, even the religious systems, right? Very hierarchical again, top down. These systems are collapsing, and they're going to continue to collapse, and I think it's a good thing, And we shouldn't really hold on to the old way of doing things because they need to collapse, and it might be a little bit bumpy for a while. There's uncertainty right now. And I do understand the tendency of people to want to go back to the way things are, but it's not realistic. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. Things should be better than they ever were. That should be the vision, to be better than they ever were. And then finally, and most importantly, I would say really, I decided I'm going to focus even more on my own well-being and just using this dark time to push myself even higher towards the light, because darkness can be a catalyst. It shows you what you don't want, and then it's clearer what you do want. So it's a catalyst to kind of to push you higher up. And I really see this is a major time of a transformation. It's a major time of awakening, and let's embrace that. And I guess at a certain point there's gonna have to be some kind of a revolution, but I wouldn't even call it a revolution, because I think history has showed us that revolutions don't really work. You just replace one puppet with another one. We need an evolution, but also I guess partly, one part of this evolution is really cultivating these things within ourselves, cultivating our vitality, our humanity, our connection to nature, our solidarity, our love and respect for one another, these things. But one part is probably also external. And I can see the way that it could happen is people just starting to gather, you know. I'm not talking about protests, I'm not talking about riots, but just gatherings, you know, gatherings of love and celebration. And if you have thousands of people gathering, you know, and then the government says, no, you can't, we have this social distancing, you can't do this, and then we just do the opposite, you know. We go there, we celebrate, we stay close to each other, because that's what they want to do. They want to divide us, you know. They want to put us in our own little boxes. The system, I'm talking about the system, wants to do that, because that's how they're going to rule us, they think. Well, it's not going to work, okay? It's not going to work, because all it's going to do is it's going to bring us even closer together. And if you have thousands of people, or even a few hundred of people, you know, doing this, and ignoring these ridiculous social distancing orders, I don't think the cops are going to intervene, you know. They're more likely to just join the party, you know. I'm talking about a party. Let's have gatherings. It's, you know, it's the beginning of summer. We can have the most amazing summer ever. That's my vision, you know. Let's have the most amazing summer ever. And if the frequency of the planet, of all of us, goes up enough, I think we don't even have to fight this New World Order, you know. This is a house of cards. It's just going to kind of collapse into itself. And, you know, as John Lennon put it, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one, I hope. And I hope we can have this new society. So let's have it, let's envision it, and let's deserve it. So that's all I want to say. I wish you all the best. Thank you for tuning in, and talk to you soon. Ciao.